Today we conclude our journey through John chapter 6 and the miraculous feeding of the 5,000 with 5 loaves and 2 fish, and then the extensive bread of life discourse. And the end of the chapter, which is verses 66 through 71, now we're at the conclusion. And it hasn't gone particularly easily or well. And our verses of the day are verses 66 and 67. Because of this, many of his disciples turned back and no longer went about with him. So Jesus asked the 12, "Do you also wish to go away?" So this is an important verse to note, because from our perspective, looking back across history and all, if we're not careful, we can have the sense of Jesus was so amazing and the Son of God, and look at all the miracles he did, and his teaching was so brilliant, and he was so loving and courageous and kind and generous and caring. How could anybody not believe in Jesus? But we need to remember that both what Jesus said and what he did to many people was offensive. And not only did they not follow him, they actively turned against him and were hostile toward him. And again, even today, it's very easy for people to become kind of cultural adopters of a few pieces of biblical faith without really opening themselves to the transformative message and person of Jesus Christ. Because there are aspects of Jesus' teaching that many people who claim to be Christian would actually find very offensive if Jesus was in their midst in the present day and saying to them some of the things he says in the Gospels. So this is just to recognize at the end of John chapter 6 that some people, they hear Jesus and what he has to say about coming down from heaven to give life to the world, and giving of his flesh and his blood, and us needing to partake of it to be a part of what he's doing, and that the words he's speaking are spirit and life, and that we need to come to him. Some folks just couldn't accept this and walked away. And even some of his disciples, people who were to that point his students or following him, also went back. But I love Simon Peter's answer to Jesus' question. "Lord, to whom can we go? You have the words of eternal life. We have come to believe and know that you are the Holy One of God." And this is the response that the fourth gospel is hoping you and I will make. That we can say with Peter, "You have the words of life. We've come to believe and know that you are the Holy One of God." I hope that that faith statement is true of you. And if it's not, it's one that you can simply pray and share out loud with God yourself. Because that's what God is looking for, to give you eternal life, for you to know that Jesus is the source of that eternal life, and he is the Holy One of God who is worthy of all your trust and all your allegiance.